Okay, thanks for joining us on Inverclyde TV. First question, I just want to know how you actually got a start in the voice acting business.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a family of actors. My dad was working on Power Rangers when I was about 8 years old. He played Rito Revolto, the skeleton dude on Power Rangers. And I went to work with him this one day, and they needed a kid at the end of his session. So my dad was like, "He's a kid, throw him in the booth!" And I became a voice actor.
Child labor.
Yay!
Did you get paid for it?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I was a working actor at 8 years old.
That's
the main
amazing.
thing.
That's really cool.
And how did you get
So I started acting when I was 9. I started with my local community theater, and then I started touring when I was 13. And I went to college, and I was going to be serious. I was going to be a lawyer, and that didn't work out because a friend of mine who knew about my previous acting, because I acted all the way up until college, told me about an audition at Funimation, and I went in and I auditioned and they cast me, and then that silly old acting bug bit me once more, and over a decade later, here I am still. So that's how I did it.
Excellent. Do you miss like the touring, like the theatre?
Oh, like theater touring?
Yeah.
I do. There was a lot of camaraderie there, because when you do dubs and we record, you actually record by yourself in the booth.
Yeah.
So it's very different, and there isn't applause at the end of everything, and there isn't that thrill of, oh, I could mess up and I have to fix it or whatever. So it's different, and I miss aspects of it, but this is pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah. So you guys got on really well then, just judged by your chemistry here. I mean, I take it you are quite close.
Oh, he's the worst.
We can't stand each other.
Awful.
It's Attack on Titan that's really brought our friendship together. And like Trina mentioned, when we record, we're by ourselves in the booth because we have to hit sync. Yeah. So we're actually watching the picture and talking as our characters are talking. But after the show was released and it started to become popular, we were invited out to a convention in Australia. Mm-hmm. And it was a 2-week convention, so you'd go one weekend and then you kind of tour a little bit, and then you go to another convention the next weekend. It's called Supernova. It's a great show.
Yeah.
And that's where we first got to hang out and really became friends, and now we've been going to lots of these kind of events together, and yeah, it's been amazing.
We're travel buddies.
Travel buddies.
You can see that you've got on well, it's quite evident. What I wanted to say though is like you seem very light-hearted, upbeat people. Where do you get, I know you kind of mentioned this earlier on, but where do you find these voices? Where do you find these characters from? I know you've already said how you drew on the anger, but just the voice in general, where do these...
So, my voice hasn't changed since middle school. I've found myself in the eternal, like, young protagonist sound. So I think playing a character like Aaron was right in my range. Now, getting that angry is something I've never done before, so I had to tap into a couple different things. And I think it was Mike McFarland, the director of Attack on Titan, that really put me in that headspace. So I attribute a lot of the performance to him.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I mean, the directors are so important to the process and so important to guiding you, and they have so much more information about the world. Mike McFarland, he did a lot of research and put a lot of work into just figuring out how to pronounce names in the show at the very minimal, and there was so much research and dedication and heart that went into even the pre-production that, Mike's decision on casting was all really strategic. And he, after you audition, after I auditioned, he was a massive part of helping me figure out, where Mikasa was in her vocal range and things like that. And just talked to me a lot more after the casting process about her character. So I attribute a lot of that to Mike McFarland, for sure.
Excellent. That kind of leads me into my next question, is the differences between, doing animated stuff and like video game work. Mm-hmm. Do you get more leeway, when you're creating a voice character for, say, a video game where they don't have, they've maybe like artwork, they haven't shown you like the moving character yet. Are you allowed to put the personality in there? Obviously it's different when you've got something that's you're dubbing over, or you're providing a voice for a character that's already moving. Do you get to create the personalities for one and not the other, or what's the kind of process there?
So it all depends. It just matters on like how much creative you can have. So like with dubbing, the sort of restrictions are you're stuck with these flaps because they can't reanimate any of the mouth flaps. So you have to be creative and yet stay true to the original Japanese performance and stay true to the animation. So you try to find something that's, you know, a compromise where you're creating a new performance, but you have to do it with those flaps. So for example, in Attack on Titan, there's moments where Eren would scream for a really long time. Yeah. And if you're just a few frames over or a few frames under, you have to do it again. So it has to be the exact length, but then be your unique scream. For video games, there's also restrictions depending on the game that you're working on. Sometimes you have to say a line in a certain time frame. So it's interesting, especially for like JRPGs, you might have to say like an attack. And in the attack, if you just translate it from Japanese, it might be like, Super Rising Dragon Punch. And you have to say that in 0.3 seconds.
Right.
So that turns into, yeah, and that's it. That's all you get to say. So, you know, you have these different sort of restrictions to be creative in, and that's where the challenge comes.
Yeah. So sometimes you do get to like play about with the characters.
Yeah, I think you get the most freedom when you're doing original animation.
Yeah.
And that's where you're delivering the line. It's recorded almost like a radio play, and they animate after the fact.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so the next question I was going to ask was about, was there any parts that you've ever chased? You know, like you've seen something's coming, or you know, like you've watched something and you know the dub's coming and you're like, I want to do that. Has there been anything where you've been like adamant that you want that part and you've chased it down?
For me, it was Attack on Titan. I saw that my brother told me about Attack on Titan, and I watched the first episode, and I was like, oh, I hope I get to audition for that. So I didn't continue to watch because I prefer to go on the journey with the character. And I really, 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 I mean, I would have been happy to be Girl B that gets smashed by a boulder, like in the first scene, you know, when the wall gets busted down. But yeah, definitely Attack on Titan. And there are so many amazing projects out there and so many really cool things. And not just in the dubbing world, you know, that I would love to be in. Pixar, if you're listening. But what about you? What do you got?
Yeah, there's always jobs that come through that it's like, well, I would love to work on that, but I've been in the industry for so long, I kind of understand, like I'm realistic about it. You know, most of the auditions that you put out there, you're not going to get. Most of the time when you want a job, you're not even going to get an audition for it.
Right.
So it's you know, frustrating at times, but I've been around it long enough that I understand, you know, and I just feel extremely fortunate that it's happened where I've wanted a job and I got cast as that character. So, yeah, Eren Yeager is definitely one of those. I mean, I was a fan of Attack on Titan. I didn't even think I'd get an audition. I was lucky to get the audition and extremely lucky to get cast as the lead. You know, the competition was really tough because Mike was taking auditions from all over the country. So I was extremely lucky that was my first audition that I sent to Funimation, and to book a role like that was really amazing.
Excellent. So you both were aware of Attack on Titan before you got the jobs. Have you seen, obviously you must have seen the live action.
We dubbed it.
Yeah, we worked on the live action. So if you see the English version, that's us.
Right, I haven't seen the English version, it was the original one, I'd seen it first. But what I was going to say was, you must be protective of these characters, and when you're watching something, to me, I didn't think the live action rang true as much. I felt they took quite a lot of liberties. When you're watching something like that, and obviously you're putting something into it, do you feel responsible for the characters? Do you feel like, oh, I don't know if... Is there moments where you think, oh, I don't know if the character would do that, or are you just happy enough that it's a live action movie that you're getting the chance to play about with?
You know, I was really excited that there was a live action movie, and if you compare, you know, the live action story to the story of the anime, it's very different. So if you take the live action and you look at it as a horror movie, like a Japanese horror movie, it's great, but it's not the same Attack on Titan. So because they did take liberties, they changed things. So I think for what it is, if you look at it as just a fun horror flick that happens to have Titans in it also, I think it's fun and it's great. It's worth our time and our watch, but it's definitely not the same as the anime.
I mean, just like Attack on Titan Junior High isn't the same. Like Attack on Titan Junior High is silly and it's cute and like they're the same characters, but it's not at all the same thing. It's just because there was so much popularity surrounding Attack on Titan, and because it took so long for season 2 to come out, those fillers, I think, kept people excited. Even though they're not the same thing and it's not the same universe, being able to reimagine those characters in different scenarios was so fun. I mean, he did a weird, crazy spin. What was that noise?
In junior high, Aaron gets hit with a dodgeball, and I got to go like as he's spinning around, like so much fun.
And who doesn't want to see who doesn't want to see Aaron do that? I want to see him do that.
That's awesome.
And so like you can look at it one of two ways, like, oh, that wasn't true and da da da, or you can be like, oh, that was a version, that's great. And for some people, like, that's cool that there's a giant monster movie, and that's cool that there's like a way that I can show my niece, like, oh, this is what Auntie Trina does without all the blood. You know, like this is accessible and PG.
But do you feel not responsible but protective now of the characters?
I mean, what I do is anytime I step in the booth, I give it as much effort as I can and try to, stay true to my performance and make it the best performance possible. And that's really all you can do. And when you put that stuff out there, you hope that everyone will love it. Not everyone will, and that's all right. But when I leave the booth, if I'm happy about what happened and what I recorded, that's the goal.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's only so much ownership you can have, right?
Sure.
Like I love Mikasa Ackerman. I think she's so great and such an interesting role model for little girls and little boys. I love Eren Yeager. I love Armin. I love the show and I love the characters a lot, but at the end of the day, like Bryce says, like you put everything you have into it and you trust the director and you walk away. That was a sign from God.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know I even get service in this country, but apparently I do.
Like you do everything you can and you walk away from it. And then you give it over to the universe and to the people, and you hope that they love it as much as you did, and you hope that they understand your performance. And luckily for us, I mean, we've been very fortunate to have been cast in these roles, let alone be cast, and to have people respond in such a positive way. So, I mean, they belong to us in a certain sense, and we did our job, which is great. So, like, now the performance belongs to whoever watches it.
Excellent.
I think.
Thanks. And just a question. Outside of Attack on Titan, do you have a favourite role, or is there a role, something you'd want to revisit? Maybe you've done earlier on in your career, something that you would maybe want to go back to.
Oh, after Attack on Titan,
just put that to one side.
Yeah.
And just concentrate on the rest.
Something like I can't think of any role that I would look back on and be like, that was crap. Can I say crap?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Like, because that's not right. There are certainly things that I would do differently now, but just like in life, I mean, I went through that experience. I was there in that moment. I did the best I could, and now I'm on the other side of it, and all of those things added up to where I am now. And where I am now is in Glasgow, talking to some really nice people and sitting next to one of my very dear friends. So I don't want to mess any of that up. Like, I don't want to, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
so I'm happy here.
Don't tempt fate.
Yeah.
Bryce, what about you? Have you got any a favourite role that you maybe want to revisit, or is there?
I mean, if the question is like, would I change anything? Like, I think whatever happens when you step into that booth is kind of right for where you are in that moment.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. I wouldn't want to rock the boat or adjust anything. I'm very happy with all my performances. Would I want to play some of the characters that I've been in the past again? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, that for sure.
Like, I can tell you, I'm looking forward to hopefully playing, some characters again. Like, I'm expecting a season 3 of Attack on Titan.
Yay!
I'm expecting more Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
I'm expecting more Seven Deadly Sins. I'm working on season 2 of Miraculous Ladybug. So it's very nice to have a little bit of job security and know that some of these roles that I've loved and put my heart into are coming back for more. And I hope that there's some other series that I've done that kind of, stop short, like Blood Lad. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. You should check it out. Such a fun show, kind of buried in the shadow of Sailor Moon. But it was so much fun. It was like the perfect role for me. My character is this otaku vampire mob boss.
Yes!
Like, so cool. He literally tries to Kamehameha the bad guy. And gets kicked. It's the closest I'll ever get to say Kamehameha. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say that because DB Super, that's still going and you never know what could happen. It'd be a dream come true to work on that show, but my character literally goes Kamehameha and gets kicked in the face. So like that show, it stopped right in the middle, and I hope that they bring it back, and you just never know.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. Like that's one thing that's been mentioned a lot today, is like with the way that, and I know you've got a project you're working on, but like with the way that media is distributed now, it's, you can go years before you get like a new season. It takes moving to Netflix. Is the kind of groundswell that you need for something to get a season 5 years later or whatever. So it's completely possible that something like that could happen.
Yeah, that happened with Blue Exorcist actually.
Yeah.
It was 5 years between season 1 and 2.
Dang.
But so happy that it came back. It's such a fun show.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the project you mentioned earlier on? Before?
Oh, absolutely. So I am a co-founder of a new app that's on the iOS store called Unlocked. My partner's another voice actor. His name is David Vincent. You might know him from Super Smash Brothers, from Bleach, from a bunch of other places. But Unlocked was created to connect actors and their fans. And it's a live streaming network with exclusive programming, and different actors can go on there, live stream from their cell phones, and take their fans with them all over the world, whether it's at an event like this one, or whether it's into the booth, or sort of behind the scenes and into their lives. And members can go on those live streams and chat with them live. So it's a way to connect with fans around the world from anywhere in the world. And it's really incredible. It's kind of exploding in the voice acting realm now. So it's really exciting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And that's just on the App Store, or is it Google
It's
Store?
free to download on the App Store, and currently developing a Android release. So
Excellent.
that'll be coming soon. But right now people can sign up for the beta if they have an Android and get notified first.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for coming
much.
back.